Full morgues in Ottawa have hospitals dealing with an overflow of bodies, and with nowhere else to put them, some unusual places, including conference rooms, are being used to store the deceased. Hospitals say they're working to reduce the capacity issues as quickly as they can. From Ottawa, we're joined by Scott Miller, General Manager of the Hulse, Playfair and McGarry Funeral Home. Scott, thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Good afternoon.
You've seen something like this before. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, there's times when the hospitals just can't handle the amount of death that as they're seeing, and they don't have enough space to store the remains until such time as the family makes the decision to choose a funeral home or decides what type of service they want to have.
So when was the last time you saw something like this as kind of overcrowding?
It happens periodically throughout the year. I mean, last year we ran into situations similar to this around this time of year with influenza and other things. The hospitals just aren't, they don't have morgues built to handle an influx of death. And then that's what we see at times like this. The hospitals are seeing more cases of influenza, and then sometimes that affects people to the point where they pass, and the hospitals just can't, they don't have room. So periodically throughout the year, they run into a situation where the morgues are at capacity.
Is there any concern about having these bodies in other spots? I imagine refrigeration isn't happening if they're put in a conference room.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that for the dignity of the deceased person, it needs to be in a proper holding facility, and that should have refrigeration. In Ontario, the Funeral Service Act requires that we have proper holding facilities for remains, basically for the dignity of the deceased person. And when a hospital is forced to use a conference room or some other type of storage facility, it really isn't appropriate.
How long do bodies typically stay at a hospital? You mentioned sometimes it's because family needs to make decisions on what to do, but can you give me some other scenarios that have these hospitals in morgues, for example, for longer periods of time?
Yeah, there's some cases where there's the decedent is unidentified or the decedent is unclaimed. And some hospitals have holding remains for as much as 30, 60, even 90 days until they can decide what they can do with that individual in terms of burial or cremation or contacting a next of kin to take care of it.
Okay, so is there a solution here, a straightforward solution for the hospitals?
You know, I've been thinking about it over the last little while as the problem arose, and some type of central morgue facility is probably required that the hospitals, you know, can get together with and share the use of that facility in times when this occurs. And other institutions would probably take advantage of such a morgue facility, like long-term care facilities that don't have morgue facilities themselves.
So they would have to sort of research and find a location to do that or build one?
That's right. If one of the particular hospitals had space and could make that space available for the use of a morgue, then that would be good. And other hospitals could share in the use of it, which would share in the cost of operating it, or create a central facility in a major center, you know, within driving distance of hospitals that you could place the remains into till such time as they can be transferred to a funeral home.
Got it. Scott Miller, appreciate your time on this. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.